What's the worst case scenario? Plan out in your head how it's all gonna go. So you think you got it covered, but there's always something new that you discover you've not thought about. You can never figure out every possible outcome, and you're so scared you'll get it wrong. Have a good time, but a worry after. Petrified, what they think I'm awkward. When your brain's wired for disaster, even good things leave a bitter taste. Try to calm down, thoughts spinning faster. Terrified, hide it with laughter. When your brain's wired for disaster, even good things leave a bitter taste. Even good things leave a bitter taste, yeah. Even good things leave a bitter taste, yeah. Even good things leave a bitter taste, yeah. Even good things leave a bitter taste. Something unexpected happens, you can't let it go. Caught up in your own distractions, you already know that you're gonna think about this for a while. While you try not to lose your mind, not to believe the lies that you tell yourself, that you tell yourself. Have a good time, but a worry after. Petrified, will they think I'm awkward? When your brain's wired for disaster, even good things leave a bitter taste. Try to calm down, thoughts spinning faster. Terrified, hide it with laughter. When your brain's wired for disaster, even good things leave a bitter taste. Even good things leave a bitter taste, yeah. Even good things leave a bitter taste, yeah. Even good things leave a bitter taste, yeah. Even good things leave a bitter taste. Even good.
Hop off the porch, now I'm in it. Say my goodbyes, I'll be gone till I'm finished. I could do a mile in a minute.
This show was brought to you by the Facebook group, The Cane Corso Enthusiasts.
Been on this long road, still riding through all of these potholes, won't faze me. All this gon' make me. I'm not here for long, I'll be on the go. Figured I just put it in a song while I'm on the road. Back in school, see, I was never smart, never on the road. I stayed in my lane and played my part, now I'm ready for it. I'll still play with no lose. Look at all we been through. Now I gotta see it through. Hop off the porch, now I'm in it. Say my goodbyes, I'll be gone till I'm finished. I could do a mile in a minute. Watch me do a mile in a minute. And I been on this long road, still riding through all of these potholes, won't faze me. All this gon' make me. Got everything I wanted like I stole some. Really, I just need my
Welcome back to the NWA Cane Corso Show, where we talk all things dogs. Salute chat, y'all come on in. We got our dear brother Rain back in the house. We told you we was gonna do it again. What's up, Rain? How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? How's everybody doing out there?
So far, so good. Long day. Been traveling with them kids, wrestling and all that good stuff. I know we was talking to you've been on a bunch of podcasts. What were some of them podcasts you was on? We can go see you at.
Let's see. Fuck, I can't even remember the name. I can't even remember the name of Matthew's podcast. Well, that one's actually tomorrow, and then the other one, where one was for my channel, and then the other one was for another reptile podcast. I don't know when he's gonna put that one out. And then the other one that I filmed was actually the last episode of my season 2 Living with Venom series. We did that. So that's really up on. I haven't even put this. So I filmed 6 and 7. Damn, I think I did like 5 or 6. I don't know how many podcasts I did this week, to be honest with you.
You did. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you go to my Instagram, the link to any content I do is there's a link to the website in there. Most of the external stuff I put up. So when they put it out, because it's not always live, so when they put it up, then I usually put it in my highlights. That way you can always go and find it. So I'm never really sure when I do something, they usually edit it and then it usually comes out. I guess within like 2 weeks. I guess it just depends on who they had on before me. And so, like I said, I got one tomorrow. I got to check. I don't even know what time it is. I got to check. I'm sure he'll text me tonight.
Well, you busy. You busy, bro. God, no. Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed the last podcast. Man, it was a lot of. I had some close friends of mine call me, and especially interested in the Corso and things. He was on it. He was spot on. They said you was talk some of the things you said. But tonight we want to get in a little bit of your knowledge on breeding, because you're a rare individual. For us, I know, as for you have bred cannabis, dogs, reptiles, amphibians,
Amphibians, birds, rabbits, rats, roaches, mice, ferrets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, horses. I mean, pretty much mammals, exotics, and domestics. I mean, it's not too much on that list on those that fall in those categories that I have not worked with in some capacity, as far as either producing F1s, working with line bred animals, or putting together simple genetics programs to go on for those specific animals. So yeah, I've dealt with a lot. Dealing, like I said, especially when you're dealing with certain type of animals that you have in your house, sometimes it's just more conducive to breed your own mice, rats, quail. Like you have certain species of snakes, they only eat quail. I mean, so quail eggs, they only eat eggs.
You breed your food as well, right?
So yeah, so it makes more sense. Like if you can't get quail eggs on hand all the time, then it would make more sense for you to have like half a dozen quail, that would be breeding somewhere where in your house, or as I have like over here, like 10,000 roaches. I actually just started 2 new roach colonies up there for the spring and summer to get ready with that. So yeah, anything like that, yeah, if I can breed it, I'm gonna do it, especially something that I need on a daily basis, because that's a part of depending on what you're doing. I mean, even in the canine world, raw food is becoming, that's becoming like I don't know, I guess that's almost like the dividing line between people these days. Like, oh, you still feeding dry? I'm feeding raw. Like, nigga, you was just feeding dry 2 weeks ago. Shut the hell up. Like, you know what I mean? So now, that everybody's feeding raw, and then you look at their raw diets and the shit be
I lost you, brother. Right, I don't know if you can hear. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's one of the most important parts of breeding anything, is providing a diet, a proper diet for those animals, and it can go pretty deep. When you're trying to set up breeding programs, especially for domestics, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry with mammals. It's pretty cut and dry with mammals. Females come in the heat, you introduce a male. It's really simple. You know what I mean? It's not much to it. Your finer points are coming in as far as selecting animals, where they're coming from, how you raise them up, how you feed them. Are you paneling them? What are their genetics? Why are you putting them together? That's the more complicated part of breeding mammals. Then most mammals require tons of space and tons of time. Not saying that reptiles and amphibians don't, but it's a totally different process. I would equate breeding plants on the same level as breeding mammals, because it's a simple process, as far as collecting pollen. And like, I mean, for me, my method, there's several methods, but like when I breed cannabis, what I do the bread bag method, because that's what I was taught, was take a bread bag, like the one bread bag, and open it up, put it over top of the plant at a certain age, and then you cut a hole in the top, and then you take the pollen, the sperm, the male sperm, and then you put it in there, and you shake the bag up like that, to get it in there. Because once the female gets impregnated, she stops producing buds and starts forming energy to start producing seeds. But it's a lot simpler process. and I mean, just in general, I want to say, even in my opinion, it's a lot simpler process. Like I said, I could equate it to mammals, but then when you look at breeding reptiles and amphibians, I mean, there's so many levels in that process.
Right.
Even with domestics, how often, do you lose in comparison to exotic, let's say reptiles and amphibians? Domestic litters don't really have a lot of the issues that you see in reptiles. Your mortality rate is lower. I'm sorry, your mortality rate is lower because, I mean, there's less work that goes into the process. The moms do a lot of the stuff for them, but when the babies are born, generally, I'd say 90% of litters are pretty successful with cats and dogs. Everything comes out, everything's in order for the most part. For 90% of the time, things are in order under normal circumstances. Whereas in reptiles and amphibians, you got a whole process to even try to get there. Like, as far as you have processes of cycling animals, especially with your females. Now, whether males need to be cycled or not is still yet to be determined, because there's no male in the history of animals that has males don't come in the heat. Men can go whenever. But females have to have, it has to be a certain time, a certain season, a certain time of the month, certain time of the year. So with reptiles, you can kind of induce breeding by changing the temperatures for anywhere from 45 to 90 days, depending on the species. And then you introduce your males. Yeah. And some species, not all species. So some species, like ball pythons and blood pythons, like, you could just put them together. Children's pythons, you just put them together, and eventually you just end up with eggs. But then you have reptiles that lay eggs. Then you have reptiles that give birth to live young. Then you have reptiles that do a mixture of the two, that lay eggs inside themselves. The eggs develop and hatch inside the mother, and then she gives birth to live young. I'm high, so I can't think of all the technical. Ovopurity. It's ovopurity is laying of the eggs. I think it's vivipurity. So if I'm saying it wrong, people, that's why I've been smoking and I ain't done. So you can look all this stuff up. Vivipurity, I'm pretty sure, and then ovovivipurity, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm 98% sure those are the technical terms. And so the third one is a mixture of the two. So it's not to be confused with either or, because it is both of them existing simultaneously, at the same time.
Right.
But
hey, I'm gonna be interjecting some questions in here, because the audience, these guys, they're more advanced, so they won't be asking no awful wall the questions or whatnot. So if it's on topic, I'm gonna show the question or comment. But let me get Caveman. He says, are any of these species photosensitive?
As far as marijuana, or is you talking about as far as reptiles? Because when I think of photosynthesis, we're dealing with plants.
I know Caveman is a cannabis.
Well, right, I see the flower. So, because I was saying I haven't really mentioned any strands. We were strictly just talking about the difference between breeding reptiles and exotics and domestics, but not marijuana animals. So that's what he was asking. We haven't even got into the cannabis breeding yet. I was just talking about. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if he got thrown off by me talking about my bread bag breeding method, as far as with the cannabis and whatnot.
Oh, he's talking about reptiles.
He's talking about No, it's not. It's not necessarily photosynthesis. There are periods of light and dark, but that doesn't always apply, because if you watch commercial reptile breeders, a lot of those reptiles don't have lighting, which is totally unethical. But they're getting these animals to breed in the most minimum and the most abusive conditions. But nature in itself, and you should have, like, the breeding program that I run here for my Europlatus Ibanawi. If I am cycling them, then the lights will be on between 10 and 14 hours, generally about 12 hours. If I'm not cycling them, then the hours could be anything less than 8 hours. But the thing about it is it's more so about how much UVV they're getting, because I have a window in my room which pretty much controls the sunlight. So anything like I have this, I've already moved it because all my babies are over here. It's about getting the UBV, and not necessarily how much light I'm giving them on purpose. So I mean, in the sense you could, we don't call it that, but we just call it a nighttime, daytime, like night cycle, or a breeding or not breeding light cycle, rather than photosynthesis, because that's photosynthesis is a little bit different, you know, because there's a lot that goes into that and what's happening. You know, this is just triggering like, oh, it's springtime, because it's not just about the lighting, it's also about the water. Because during this time of year, this is also the rainy season. So rain also induces breeding. So it's not just triggered by just having the light on for 10 hours, because that won't always work. It's like when you're coming in, like I'm going to be coming in and I'm going to miss heavy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm going to miss real heavy. The humidity is going to come up to almost 100%. So then I have panels on my breeding aquariums that I stick different things in there to have different levels of humidity coming in and out at any given time, because humidity is extremely important. So this is where dog breeding, well, mammal breeding gets left behind, because now you're dealing with humidity, you're dealing with light, you're also dealing with food cycles. You have animals that'll go off feed for months. And you have some animals that'll never come back on feed. I've had animals go off feed and then didn't eat again for 2 years. You know, it's so there's a lot of aspects to dealing with it, but then you have gestation period just like you do with mammals, but then you have these eggs, so then you have to have an incubator. So if you don't know how to incubate without an incubator, you could possibly be fucked if you live in certain places. Your power goes out, the motor in your incubator goes out. But there's a lot into it. You know, and then that's a whole nother 60-day process, 60 to 70-day process, depending on the species of animals you're dealing with. And that's the easy part. Those are the easy parts. Once those babies start hatching, depending on the species, this is where the trouble starts, getting these animals to feed. You never run into this. There's nobody in the comments or in the history of dog breeding, including myself, that'll say that they had a puppy that wouldn't eat.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You're never going to hear that. I've lost entire clutches of animals, $20,000-$30,000 worth of animals, because I couldn't get them to eat.
Let me ask you this. I want to step it back a little bit on the mammals. If you're going to breed, force dogs specifically, how much do you interfere with the process? You know, there's a lot of progesterone, AIs, and things like that.
I don't mess with that stuff.
Yeah, I moved away from it as well. What is your thoughts on that, though?
I mean, if that's what you feel you got to do, that's what you got to do. I know for some breeds, you know, some breeds, it is necessary. You know, and that's understandable. But I see a lot of guys just, you know, I don't know if they're scared or that I don't know, man. I just feel like I don't know how you can miss it. Or maybe I've just done it so many times that I just don't know how you can miss it. Why you would need to do all that other stuff if you're clocking it. But that's just me. You know, I'm really thinking back of every litter that I've been involved with, whether I was just on the sidelines or whether it was my animals. I don't think I've ever missed a heat. I don't think I've ever missed a heat. Now, I've had stillborns and shit like that come out, but I just don't recall that I've ever, like, even my last litter, I you know, come in the heat, I waited, I clocked it, I let him hit her 2 times, I had a litter of 7, simple as that. Like, you know, it's like clockwork. So I never really understood that with breeds that didn't need that. You know, like you have
Right.
some breeds they have to have C-sections and things like. I think like
Right.
with some breeds, some of that stuff is totally necessary.
Yeah.
But if you breed in like Corsos and Pressas and Pit Bulls and stuff with Malleys and like I don't understand the need for, you know, progesterone test is one thing. You know, okay, fine. Fuck that. I'll let you slide on that. But all that other stuff, but like I said, that's just me. It's like I don't kennel either. I don't kennel. I don't believe in that. But if that's what you like to do, that's what you like to do. I just don't believe in that. And you know, because I just think it makes for a better dog. That's my opinion. But yeah, I don't. As far as those things go, bro, I never got into any of that stuff. You know, I know how to do it because I've done it on other farm animals, but I've never actually done an AI on a dog. Honestly, I've never done it on a dog. So that, you know, that was never something that I dealt with. Like, you know, my main focus was diet. You know, I guess so when I start, my main thing is first thing I do is I go get a lot of pencils and notebooks. Those are first things I do. The first things I do. And then it depends on where I'm starting. Am I starting from scratch? Am I starting with line bred animals? Am I starting with line bred and inbred? And what am I starting with? How much do I know about these animals? And then I sit and I write everything down, all their weights, their heights, their measurements, you know, everything down, every shred of fucking information I can get. Every dog get its own section until, you know, I get all the information down, you know, and there I start scoping, you know, I start putting them through tests and see, you know, so it's just always been odd to me when I see guys that like they got 2 dogs talking about breeding programs. Like how? You can't even start a bloodline with 2 dogs. It's not, or 2 animals in general. It's not possible. You're breeding the same shit. It's you're doing what I call a repetitive breeding over. It's repetitive motion over and over and over. And then eventually, like with a clone, like with marijuana, with cloning, you can only clone from a clone so much. If anything, it's like when you see families from back in the day, you know, back in like the 50s and 60s, it was common for families, especially Black families, to have large numbers of children, like 5 and up. You know, and if you notice, you go back and you look at some of those families, there's always a couple that were a little bit off mentally. And it was sometimes it was either the older ones, the younger ones, or one in the middle, just off a little bit. You had 10 kids, you got 10 copies. You got 10 copies of yourself. You know what I mean? You know, and all your genetics that come with it from your great grandparents, grandparents, great all the way down. So you have to, how much information can you possibly get about these animals? That's the most important thing. You know, at one point in time, we didn't have the type of genetics test and paneling tests that we do now. You had to ask for that stuff. You couldn't go to Amazon and order it, you know, like you can now, and only specific vets had it back then. And it was expensive, and most people weren't asking for that shit. And generally people who were asking for testing like that, it was when they were doing 2.1 breedings, 2 males into 1 females. They were looking to figure out what puppies belong to which dog. Was the general genetic testing that I was hearing about. I never heard of like now, like the embark and all that, the swabbing and, you know, seeing who your dogs are related to, you know, how close it might be for the inbreeding. Like a lot of that stuff hadn't been put into play yet. And that's what keeping notes was about. Because in my opinion, if you got a running breeding, the whole purpose of breeding program is basically, it is selective breeding. So it's basically domestication through a selective process, a deep thought selective process that should end in a program that is about longevity, health, and integrity with very little room to compromise on that. Like the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, you said something. You said a few things. The importance of having a breeding program, meaning there's several things inside of the program and figuring out where you are when you start. You know what I mean? Knowing the dogs and where. I'm glad you said that. So Why is it important to know where you at in the dogs
Well,
before
I mean,
this?
if you're taking notes and you 4 or 5 generations in, I imagine at that point, I mean, if you're on your 4th generation, by that time you should have done a line breeding, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So, and yeah, you should be on your inbred animals getting ready to do outcrossings.
Mhm.
Unless you are doing a lot of open in line breedings before that happens. But like I said, in my opinion, by that time you should be getting ready to do outcross with line bred animals that you're happy with, that you have gone through. I mean, inbred animals that you're happy with, to find out if your genetics are really what you got on the outcross
Right.
animals, the testing, proving. If you've been documenting everything, you should be able to catch your fuck up before it happens, or you should be able to see, like, oh, I gotta stop. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna be able to do that. I'm gonna have to backtrack to catch it.
Right.
You should before I ever put a breeding program into physical manifestation, I had already manifest all this shit out on paper. Hypothetically, the negatives and the positives, what would happen, like how many fucked up, and then I had to fucking start over 70
Mhm. Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
doing it over and over and over, trying to get it right, trying to get it down to 10 years or less without making a lot of compromises and still holding on to the same integrity. It's not easy to
Mhm.
do that, especially with dogs, when the mammalian gene is still very soft. Um,
When you
it's not like
explain them a million genes for us, bro.
so the mammalian gene is it's still in its evolution process. It's a soft, it's the genetics are very soft. It's not like reptiles and amphibians, or you don't see much evolution physically with the naked eye, because they're in my
Oh.
opinion they're peaked. But if they
Uh-huh.
are still evolving, it's so slow that you're not even going to
Yeah.
see it. We
Right.
we see evolution with mammals every 10 years. Things happen with them. You know, so because of that, you have to be very careful. And also keeping in mind is that, let's say you got, I don't know, let's say you got 5 dogs that you start with. You also got to keep in mind that every one of those dogs got a set of dogs that goes with it, and its progenitors. And it's very important to know, like I said again, everything about those dogs. Because if you don't, and this is if you can, because maybe you can't get all the information. You know what I mean? I think in this day and age, if you're buying properly and sourcing properly, I don't think that you should have a problem with doing that. Most registries, they're pretty good about that, and I think there are a lot of people who do still keep books on their dogs.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I think in that sense, I think I feel like if you're not doing that, then you probably really don't have a good program. Because
Mhm.
I mean, it's easy to get lost and get confused in that, and people start asking you questions, and then you start getting tongue tied in your own shit.
Mhm.
It's like when you're studying for a test, you know, and you are going through the book, reading, looking at the notes, and you read it, and then you go take the test. You're probably going to fail the test. And the reason I say you're probably going to fail, or not necessarily fail, you could anywhere from fail to get a lower grade, because you just looked over the information. Now, if you actually have that book, and then you have some paper and some pencil right here, and then you were writing, you processing that shit into your mind, because
Mhm.
the physical manifestation. See, you have reverse manifestation also, because you think therefore you are, but you are therefore you am. It goes back and forth. You throw, see, people, a lot of stuff that comes to us, we never get the full finish of the phrase or the comment. It's like throwing a pebble into water and it makes waves.
Yeah.
Well, what people don't know is they never told you is that those waves always come back to the source.
Mhm.
So
Good
you
analogy.
you
Yeah.
so when you got to think about that. Whatever you give out is going to come back at some point in time. Yin and yang, up and down, right and left, push and pull, on and off, yes and no, black and white. Can't have one without the other. Love and marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
Al Bundy shit. But
Right.
um, so without proper documentation, because the registry's job is just to clock you. and that's it, and hold these papers for you. And then if you want to get entered into like DNA banks, then that's how you would do it. You have to be on an official registry that has, contacts with them, and then they'll do it that way. But you should have the most detailed pedigrees ever. Like your shit should be like almost illegible to anybody but you. You should have a key, the legend, all of that, what the asterisk mean, what 2K mean, what the PPD mean, all that shit.
Yeah.
And when you write, like I said, rather you read a book and then you go take a test, you're not going to do as good as if you're reading the book and you're taking notes at the same time because of the form of manifestation. So if you are taking notes on your dogs and then you're out there watching your dogs while you're doing it, this stupid motherfucker right here. Let me go ahead and document this blockhead ass. And, keep in mind so that pops back up again. It's extremely important. So, and also keeping in mind with mammals, because you're dealing with a softer gene, a more malleable gene, phenotypes, and not compromising, do not dealing with mammals, bro. You cannot let up on the phenos, bro. Pheno hunting. I know that's not a canine term, but pheno hunting. It's a cannabis term and it's a reptile term. But pheno hunting is extremely important. And that's why cannabis people now, they're not cloning. Cloning is becoming a thing of the past. Now they're taking tissue samples directly from the plants and then they're growing them out that way. That's the new thing that a lot of growers are doing now. Unfortunately, we don't, with animals, we don't, our elite leaders are doing this shit, but we don't have the technology, the money, the space, or the know-how to be doing things like that. But
hey, Rain, hold that thought, because I want to say something before you go forward, because you said something very important about keeping notes, and I'm a big proponent of doing that. I might want to remember how many puppies she had. Is it a pattern? But two, I use apps like Telegram, WhatsApp for visual documentation as well. So I just wanted to tell them that. I'm sorry, brother.
No, you good, man. I mean, look, at this day and age, boy, you should, in this day and age, what I'm saying, you gotta remember, I'm old school. So sometimes I don't always, I just had to think about it. I mean, you got smartphones, you got laptops, you got camcorders and all the shit at your access at your fingertips. Not like back in the day, that shit was expensive trying to buy that. So now you can, not only can you write it, you can document it, and have video. You can have a whole video library of your entire program from start to finish. And nobody can ever question your shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got an entire written and video or DVD, however you did it, digital library of everything that you did. So you can go back and check that shit and people can actually see exactly what you did and how it started and how you got there. Which is, I mean, you're taking pictures and showing off anyway, so you might as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? You might as well, and that's extremely important because it's a program is all about longevity. In the reptile world, they don't have programs; they have projects, and those are two very different words, two very different things, two very different meanings, and they have two very different results at the end. So but programs there's levels to them. And they're about longevity and they switch up, but compromising phenotypes in programs with mammals is just something you can't fucking do. I mean, it's because the gene is so soft. Like if you bring in and you go look, bro, you listen, man, you got guys who will take two unrelated dogs, they will breed them, keep a bitch out of that litter, and then go and stud it to an unrelated dog. And these guys are talking about programs. That's not how you formulate a program. And all of that is done based off of visual things. So you got an F1, an outcross F1 to another outcross, obviously I don't say unrelated, to another outcross dog. And then most likely they're going to take another puppy out of there, and then they're going to take it and outcross it again. And then outcross it again. And then they're going to get, and so then you're going to start getting further and further away from this top dog, your top stud dog. He's going to, you're basically saying that dog ain't shit because you're not breeding back to him. You're only outcrossing with him. I see a lot of Pressa people doing it. I see a lot of Corso people doing it. All the American Bully people do it. So, a lot of like the Pressa world, bro, there ain't a lot of bloodlines, real running bloodlines in the Pressa world. I don't give a fuck what they say. There's probably less than a dozen.
Right.
There's probably less than a dozen true running bloodlines because a bunch of fucking outcrosses. Bro, this is what outcrossing looks like. It's a scatter breeding.
The scatter breeding, yeah.
So that's exactly what this shit is. It's all over the place. And this is another form of outcrossing. So you got one dog who went into all these bitches. This is not line breeding. That's still outcrossing. Sorry. That's still outcrossing. So if you breeding dogs based off of visual aspects, people, you go to their pages, bro, they don't say nothing about health, paneling, hips, none of that shit. But I got puppies coming up. They're gonna be phenomenal.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're gonna be phenomenally fucked up with all kind of diseases.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna be phenomenal.
But too, Ryan, it works the other way around as well. Because you got guys that breed they lead with OFA and health screening. What about the dog? What kind of dog? Is this dog gonna kill my kid? Oh, but dog, he got OFA.
Well, that's right. It's all right. And here's the thing about hips and things like that. And you're right. There's some people who do. They harp on that so much. Yeah. But then their dog's temperaments or the hips may be good, but the dog is really trash at the end of the day. Yeah. And then, another mistake I've seen since you brought up hips, this is very important because this is going in with breeding programs. People do, I know a lot of people do things when it comes to hips and they start blaming their breeder for shit that they did to the dog. Yeah. Like, oh, you gave me a dog with hip dysplasia. Nigga, that dog was 107 pounds at 6 months old. You did that.
Right.
That's one thing that they do. And then the other thing that I see people do is they will go and they will test the hips of the dog at like somewhere between 4 and 12 months old. And then they say they get a decent score. But then they don't, if you're dealing with a dog that's over 100 pounds, the hips don't set until between 16 and 19 months. So that means that you got to do another hip test. So you got some people that are telling you their dog's hip test is good based off of a hip test from before the hips even set.
Yeah, that's why OFA wanted at 2 years old.
Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff you can't even test for until a dog turns 2. So if they test it before 2, then they should have another test after that. Yeah. But most people aren't doing that because, that costs money for one. And I mean, most people don't even want to put insurance on their dog. So why the fuck are they going to do a hip test? Are you fucking stupid?
Right. I'm not going to put a hip test on my dog. You got to go to the right vets for the hip test.
Right. Yeah. So you can't. Right. Not all vets offer it. So that's the thing is, and some people they're just not willing to do. They're not willing to do that. So what they are willing to do is, just come up with a fantastic story for you, and $3,500 later, you're like, man, this breeder sold me a fucked up dog. Maybe he did, or maybe y'all fucked it up together. You know what I mean? Because I bought a dog in Colorado. It was a American Bully. I bought from a guy. I just wanted a dog. I couldn't find no Pressas. I actually met a Pressa breeder in the process. He was actually from the DMV too, but he was living in Colorado. Yeah. And I ended up buying this American Bully from a guy. He showed me the DNA test on the dog. It was American Bulldog. No, I'm sorry. It was Amstaff and English Bulldog was what it said, was what it was on there. So you remember the original American Bully, it's not even people, and you can just put anything together. Let me not even harp on the American Bully too much. But anyway, no. So what I'm saying, I bought this dog. I bought this dog from this guy. He brought me the dog over. A nice little dog, real smart. She has a high drive, nice drive on the dog. Even my brother was even so like, man, that's a nice. She's nice. Is that a standard? I said, man, this motherfucker's an Amstaff in England. I said, this is an Arkansas Giant Bulldog. That's what they used to call that shit back in the day.
Really?
Way before the American Bully was ever thought of. There was the Arkansas Giant Bulldog, which was obviously Amstaff Pit Bull into an English Bulldog. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. And so, but this dog was more Amstaff than English Bulldog. But he only did a DNA test. You see, then you have people who are selective about what they will do and what they won't do. I only paid like $400 for the dog. Wasn't that big of a deal. And I ran into, from his Instagram, I followed someone who had a F1 brother to the dog. And so I was I talked to them. I built a relationship with them. They were also in the area, obviously. And so we were talking, and they went and took their dog to the vet and found out the dog had hip dysplasia. So then I already know, I'm like, okay, well, that shit's recessive then, because these aren't even big dogs. Like, his dogs weren't even big. Oh, so really? Yeah. So immediately, the way I am, you don't live here no more. You know what I mean? Like, you're toast. So we'll find you a nice family somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not feeding you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So but that's what I'm saying. In that sense, it's like I had no plan to do anything with that dog. So it was a pet. I wasn't planning on getting no insurance. I wasn't planning on breeding that. I wasn't planning on doing shit with that dog. Like I said, I should never even have bought that damn dog. I just bought it. I just bought the dog. I seen the dog look, and it wasn't even, he had some, there were some, it was a decent litter. I had to say that. It was a decent litter. But yeah, like I said, dealing with that, and I had already dealt with a pocket before. When I was in the DMV, I had bought a pocket because I wanted to see what the hype was about. This is one of the most poorly fucking bred dogs I've ever owned in my life. Yeah, man, it was crazy. So yeah, like, the reason I told that story is because you do have, like you said, you do have some people who will do little things, and then you have some people who will do everything and they'll go above and beyond. Then you have some people who are not going to do a damn thing.
Yeah, you got that. Yeah.
And you find that a lot of the guys who don't do a damn thing, they got the highest prices. A lot of the times they got some of the highest fucking prices that for these dogs. But I understand when you're building a breeding program, bro, you have to keep in mind, like I said, first thing I start with is pen and paper. And then from there, what obviously you should have your breed picked out. What is your space looking like? What is your space looking like? Are you going to have dogs indoor, outdoor? How long do you plan to run this program?
Yeah.
10 years. How many generations are you trying to get? Are you working these dogs? Are you prepared to call these dogs? Are you selling these dogs to anybody? Are you giving them away? What are all this stuff got to be set in stone? How are you feeding them? How much is the feeding going to cost? Where are you going to get it from? Are you going to try to have a specialized diet and strict to that? What happens when you can't get duck? What happens if you can't get quail? Are you going to be okay with going to kibble?
Right.
Like,
and I'm gonna tell you something. My mentor for the Central Asian Shepherd said, he made a comment. He said that the puppies that he's picking right now is keepers. Yeah, it's so sentimental to him right now because this probably be the last time. This will be his last pick. We are not down to 50. You know what I mean? It comes to an end at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, you gotta do you. It's like, you have to. How long of a run can you really get? You know what I mean? How long of a run? Because eventually, everything comes to an end. Eventually, your genes are gonna collapse on themselves, especially if you got a program that's so tight and you were really able to get what you needed early on in the beginning. But then what happens? when you get so deep in that program, and then other people, kind of like you said, these other guys who are in the position that you were about to be in, they already died off. You can't get that stuff no more either. So before you get to the point where you become the dinosaur, you know, where we just talk about you and read about you in books, how many dogs you're going to be able to put out? You know what I mean? And so then you got to ask yourself, do I need to get some of these dogs pointed and confirmed so I can get some of these dogs in the book? Do I need to, and that's all based on breed. Your breed of dog is going to determine a whole lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah,
That's
because look, do you want to really leave a mark somehow? Or you just,
because some people may only just be breeding a dog just strictly for their own personal needs, and that's fine. Because in the end, I think that's what you should be doing. At the end of the day, you should be breeding the dog for yourself.
Yeah.
And then giving everybody else, and I hate to, I know some people, I mean, I think any real dog breeder will understand, but some people who don't, and they hear you say it, like you're getting second best. Some people hear that and they're like, oh, you make it seem like you're selling me trash or something that you don't want. Well, it's not, it may sound like that, but that's not what it is. It's that you have to understand is like, I remember when I did the Battlebred interview and he asked me a similar question about how I go about breeding and picking puppies and how I do all that, and I'm big on keeping dogs until they're 4 or 5 months old before I let them go. If I'm planning on keeping something out of that litter, then nobody's going to see anything until 4 or 5 months, have gone by and I've decided whether I'm going to keep something or not. Or somebody in the comments got mad, was like, well, I definitely wouldn't buy a dog from him. He's keeping a dog till it's 4.5 months old. And I'm like, well, one, I wouldn't sell a dog to your ass anyway. Right. 2, I said, if you were a real dog man, then you would understand what I'm doing. Right. How the fuck am I supposed to give you what you ask for and keep something what I need looking at a 6-week-old puppy? A 10-week-old puppy not about to show me nothing. A 12-week-old puppy is not about to show me shit. I need to see that dog, because 4 to 5 months to me is a good stage, because you also got to understand, we also got to understand that dog time and human time is not the same. Mm-hmm. So even in the puppy stage, yeah, we obviously it's still a child or an adolescent. You're going to see a lot of clumsiness and goofiness, but you're also going to see some dominant personality traits by that time. Not all of them, but you should be able to pinpoint enough of them from the time those puppies were born to the time those puppies were about 4.5 months old. And this is also, like I said, it's so many levels. Are you working with line bred animals? Because if you are, then you should damn sure be seeing some fucking results immediately. Mm-hmm. But if you're not working with line bred animals, and this might take you a couple breedings, you might, and in that opinion, then what? Should you even be selling anything? Trying to get this lighting right over here. Should you even be selling anything?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, should you sell anything on an F1? In my opinion, for me personally, but then are you, so again, another level. Am I building a dog from the ground up? Am I making a new breed, or am I just breeding what's already here? Because that determines a lot too. Because if I'm building a breed, if I'm working on a new breed, me personally, I'm not ever probably going to sell anything until, I'm going to be giving a lot of stuff away to people. I'm going to be culling a lot of stuff. I'll be keeping a lot of stuff, but it's just not going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be out there, because like I send you 2 or 3 dogs to hold for me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be using those dogs. So I'm like, hey man, can you send me, I got to come and get that bitch from you. But I got another dog I want to swap out, because what I'm doing is I'm giving you a dog to get your opinion on the dog and what you think about the dog and how the dog is working for someone else other than myself. Mm-hmm. Because it's easy to be kennel blind and be biased, and you don't hype up your own dogs. I understand you paid lots of money for them, and it don't mean they ain't shit. Pay $5,000 for each. You got 10 dogs, you got $50,000 worth of dogs, and half of them are shit. But you don't want to admit that because you paid all that money for them. I get that. but you just got to step up and be a man about it and just admit that you just lost $25,000 on shit and keep it moving.
Right.
You know,
Hey
it's
man,
not.
hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You brought out Kenny Toronto. He's bred to
Right.
perfection. Yeah, you brought him out. Kenny like the candy man when we talk about breeding.
Yeah,
But
with anything. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, man, you have to have the somebody told me have the discipline as a breeder to, to make these things happen. Like my next breeding, like I gotta place dogs with people. I can't keep them all. I gotta place and watch. We gotta
Well,
watch them for a
see,
while.
well, that's a whole different type of breeding. It's like I see, like
Mhm.
Niall said, people want puppies, not dogs. That's right. Your average breeder, they want puppies. Me personally, I'm not selling to the average breeder. So I'm looking to do what you just said. Like I gotta place these dogs because I know what I got. I know I got dogs that can be kind of dangerous. So I just don't want them going out to anybody. And it's not to say that a first time person of a Corso or a Pressa or a Burble won't get one, but it's gonna be it's definitely gonna be a hard process down that road for a first time person, especially if I don't know you. But yeah, in general, your average buyer they want a puppy.
They want a
But we
puppy,
also
yeah.
have to keep in mind your average buyer are the ones that cause a lot of problems for people. And if your average breeder sells to your average buyer, then who is causing all the drama? Your average breeders and your average buyers. So we have to in my opinion, we have to start getting back to selling to other breeders more than we are selling to your average buyer. Especially like you can give your average buyer your best dog. Think about this. You give your average buyer your best dog. And one of two things is probably going to happen. They're probably going to neuter that or spay that dog. Or two, they are going to turn that dog into a fucking fur baby. And you are
Oh
going to
yeah,
have the
that's definitely gonna
softest
happen.
Pressa Canario or
Yeah.
Corso or whatever in the world. And then one of two more things are going to happen. That dog is going to be confused and he's going to end up hurting somebody, or he's going to end up getting somebody hurt because he's confused and he doesn't know what the fuck to do.
I've seen many fur babies. I mean, I've heard breeders say some of my best work is in somebody's backyard because they
Yeah.
didn't keep. Yeah, that happens a lot.
It happens more in the reptile world than in the canine world, but it definitely happens in the canine world. And it happens a good amount in the canine world, but it happens a lot in the reptile world, especially with certain species. Like some guys, as soon as the eggs hatch and they get them feeding, they're sold. I'm like, bro, that animal has to go through a whole OCC. It has to change. It has to change from yellow to green. Like, how do you even know what you got? How do you know if you got that special colored animal if you sold everything? You sold it to this dude. He's not selling you that shit back. Tell me that shit. I'm not giving you that shit back.
Right.
You're never going to see that animal again. But the same things happen. Those animals end up on Craigslist. They end up dead, like Niall said, or you never see them again. Things. And for one reason, you may never see them again because you lost contact with that person. Maybe the dog got put down. Maybe listen, bro. After I got rid of my Corsos, after I got out of Corsos, I bought what I didn't know, but what then would be the start of the American Bully. I didn't know that. That's what I was buying. I bought this dog, and it from a distance you would say American Bulldog. It was a pied brindle dog, real big dog, right? Like it was a puppy, real big, real good sized puppy, but it was sold to me as a pit bull terrier. I mean, I could clearly look at the dog and see like this motherfucker, like he got some mastiff in him or something. You know what I mean? Now, you know what's so funny is now I told you. So I had this Corso. I had this blue Corso that Scandifio dog that I got in Ohio. I took it back to DC. The dog ended up getting parvo. I put the dog down. Well, I ended up getting another Corso right after that. And while I was in college, a brindle dog, a Belmonte dog. And so I ended up selling that dog to somebody else, and because I just didn't have the time for it. I ended up selling that dog to somebody else, And then they bred the dog, and I saw all the puppies. They brought me the puppies. They tried to sell me one. All the puppies had faults. They all had they were covered in white. And I saw, and both of the parents were brindle dogs, but the puppies were covered in white. Every single puppy. None of the puppies were solid. They were all piebald, and these were Corsos. This was, this was. You're talking about the father coming out of late 90s dogs. I'm not sure about the mom. I don't know nothing about her. No, I'm sorry. The mom coming out of early 2000s dogs. I don't know nothing about the father. I don't know. Like I said, the mother was from a Belmonte dog. I don't remember the pedigree. It's been a while. But I sold that dog, right, to them. They bred it, and then they sold the dog somewhere else. Now, when I went to go get this pit bull, guess who had that Corso on their property?
Who did?
So I done seen, the person that I was getting the pit bull.
Oh, really?
From. Yeah, they had the Corso there.
Damn.
Now, yeah, and the reason I knew that was my dog is because the vet cut the dog's ears upside down. Because I remember, because I almost whooped the nigga's ass in the parking lot. I didn't pay him. He cut the dog. So the point of the dog's ears were down like this. Yeah.
Like a reverse Batman.
Cut the dog's ears like that. I gave this nigga a drawing, everything. I asked him, do you want me to come in there with you and do this? Like, I'll do it. Like, if you want me to do it. I couldn't find it. I lost my clave. I couldn't find my autoclave. And so I was like, fuck it. The vet was literally right across the street from my house. So he was like 150. Took him over there. He said he had done Corso ears before. So I took him over there. I go to pick my dog up. I seen that shit. I said, oh, man.
Gave him a
half. We got to go fight. Got to go outside and hit, my dude. Come on.
Yeah, ain't nothing like best up ears, boy.
Right.
Oh,
so that's how I knew when I seen her, because I named the dog Gianni and I called her Gia for short. Guess what they were calling her? Mia. Because it was on her paperwork was Gia. But you know, you could change the name. You get on there and get on there and change the name. So I knew, but the ear crop, like that I was like, but I didn't even say nothing to him. I didn't even say. I told my girl, I was like, bro, that was my old dog. I remember the joint I used to bring up to the campus. She was like, oh, that is. She was like, that's Gia. She was like, how he get him? I was like, I don't know. I guess the motherfuckers that had him after me sold him to him. So you got to worry about that, man. You know, you got to worry about who you selling your dog to. That's an important part of the breeding process.
You do. And you got to be careful of the dogs you buy. If somebody's giving you a 2-year-old female, something right at that right breeding age, you got to be careful.
Yeah, I'm all about older animals. I like older animals. Like, I don't like puppies. Like, I'll take a 2-year-old dog. I don't bring it. I'll take a 10-foot.
Me too. Yeah, if you're a breeder, you want to see what you got, what she's done, and this and that. So, you know, even with pricing. I mean, like being that I've been breeding a while now, man, I ain't paying no $3,000 for no puppy.
I call that. Yeah, you know, I learned early, you know, how to knock some money off dogs early.
Right.
You know, I call them and, like, you know, I either tell them like, look, bro, I don't want the papers, or you know, can you do this, or what do you have? Like, so that way I don't have to pay. Let me $300 or $400 less. Anything I can get off, something that I can get off. Like, can I get the dog under contract for a couple years? You got any older dogs you might want to sell for a different price, or you know what I mean? So I ask some questions.
Right. Because if I'm a breeder and I'm not gonna, you're not gonna want to. If you're a serious breeder, I'm not gonna want to wait 2 years when I can find a dog that's maybe an adult, that's ready to go, that's proven producer. If I'm gonna put all them $1,000, I'd rather do that way. If I want a puppy, I want to get a puppy off something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I'm the same way. I will deal with F2s and F3s if I've seen the F1s and I like what I see. Then I will grab an F1 puppy. I mean, an F2 puppy, because I saw what came before it, and, you know, hoping that I get the same thing. Don't always come out like that, but you know, I'm taking a chance because of that. But I'd be more hesitant with F1s. You know, than anything else. But then when you're working on breed development, like you're looking at Chad Mayo with the Pressa Mayo,
Chad
you
Mayo.
know, like with that dog, I'm not sure what that dog is supposed to do. Like, I don't know. I don't know what if it's just going to be a show dog or if it's going to actually be able to do something. I don't know. But like even how that dog started, that shit started off as like a joke. And motherfuckers kept saying it was real and it wasn't, and he started putting it together. So when you think about that, and he's gone through some of the same stages we were talking about, giving dogs to people, for free or for the low, holding dogs and getting them back and breeding them back to them. When you're dealing with a new breed like that, me personally, I guess maybe I wouldn't mind looking at some dogs or testing some dogs for somebody in that sense of working on a totally new breed. But hell, honestly, I probably wouldn't want to see that dog until it had come around on like a third or fourth bloodline. So I could really see, like because like I said, the genes are putty. That dog now, 15 years from now, I guarantee you that dog won't look like that. I'm not saying it's going to look like a totally, it very well could. So you know what? I can't say that it won't, because we've seen 20 and 30-year spans between breeds, especially when there's no consistency. I mean, look at the Bull Terrier. That dog went from straight face to eggshell, egg-shaped head. You look at those terriers back in the day, it's like, damn, it's like two different breeds.
Right. I actually like the way the old boxers look better than today.
Well, a lot of those dogs, the old boxers, the old Bordeaux's, you look at all those dogs, a lot of those dogs had a more of a rustic, a harder appearance
look,
back then. Well, and that's another thing. Everything, we're talking to somebody about this today, like everything is getting soft. Everything is getting soft. Right. The dogs, everything, it's all, and domestication does that. That is what that is a part of domestication. How you can't domesticate an animal you can't control. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was like with slavery. Like that's what the fucking whip was for. You know what I mean? Like you think a nigga gonna pick some cotton for you if you ain't got it, you can't keep that nigga in the field? No.
Yeah. My name Toby.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So you can't, you can't, but he gotta have that control. That whip was the control. Because me telling you, nigga, you're gonna pick this cotton. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That whip though, hey, so you gotta have forms of control within your program as well. To keep it in check. Another thing is, like, are you willing to? Are you really? Because I don't know, bro. I don't think right now in this point in time, I'm not thinking. I know that most people do not test their dogs, and I'm only talking about specific breeds, and a lot of this does fall with. This definitely falls in the category of loudmouth breeders who are on social media, for sure. Because if you got a presser and you just, hey, I'm just breeding good dogs, healthy dogs, and I'm being transparent with people. I'm not promoting the dog to do one thing or the other. My dogs are versatile. This shit don't apply to you. What I'm saying. You ain't got nothing.
You said something about that last time. You saying it's a difference in testing dogs and just training dogs and saying, "Look at here." You know what I'm
saying? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how many people are, like I said, that's a part of breeding. That's a part of a breeding program. How can you say you got a running how the fuck can I say I'm a chef? Okay, how can you go to culinary school? You go to culinary school and then you don't never cook. So okay, you got a piece of paper that said you can do it, but you never did it. I don't even have a piece of paper that said I was a chef, but I did it. So who's, that comes in on the level dealing with paperwork, which is a whole nother thing, which is still a part of there's so many fucking, you got levels within the levels and levels within those levels. And then you got to talk about sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice? And what I was talking about, my person sacrificing is testing. are you willing to sacrifice your best dog to somebody and let them run it into the ground? Because I mean, you got to do it or someone else has to do it. Your best dogs, yeah, you do need them to breed. And we're saying that you are using these dogs, but are you willing to sacrifice one or two of those dogs and send them to somebody? Somebody that you know, if you got a dog that if you're doing hog work or some bird dog or whatever, send that dog to this man where you know this motherfucker every 2 weeks they're out in the field catching hogs.
Right.
You know, where you
like,
know.
for instance, you showed me a guy that had tested hog dogs.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had a fair price on them. It was like
Oh yeah, $2,500. Yeah. Dogos and presses, everything tested, even the puppies tested. Everything tested and proven. Everything. Everything tested and proven. You don't see that. And here, and like I said, now that's great. And like I said, so this part doesn't apply to the people who aren't loudmouths, people who are just trying to breed good dogs for good people.
Yeah.
But if you're saying your dogs are big and bad and they're not tested, man, I do have a problem with that. And I don't understand how you have a running program. I don't know how you can say that you have a program on a dog that ain't never done nothing. How do you know?
How you know he won't quit?
How do I know that this cook, just his resume may be fucking impeccable? His timing, all his resume, his time, all that shit's impeccable. It looks great. But I put this motherfucker on the line, bro, and he bomb every fucking time. I got to keep covering for him. Like, bro, you go chop onions. You know what I mean? I'll do this. Go chop onions, bro. Like, where's his fucking ticket, bro? This motherfucker here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you've got your books, then you got your dogs, then you got your bitches. So obviously, when you're picking your dogs and your bitches, I would hope that you would be picking phenotypes that are resembling each other and have certain things in common, and then also have differences that are, each one of them has their own individual differences of why you pick that dog, because you want all those personality types to be shining through.
Right. That's what I was told early off in the game about crossing. I had a breeder always tell me, say, man, if I cross, it got to look exactly down there like mine. He said, what's the point of me crossing and losing everything? You know what I mean? If it's phenotypically doesn't look like mine. What is your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's like, dude, you know, one thing I know about mammals is like cannabis. And this is why it's a good comparison. It's like they did a grow in Colorado about 4 years ago, and they gave 32 breeders the exact same strand in seed form from the same mother plant, all in different regions of Colorado. 32 different people got this seed. They all grew it the way they grow it. And then they all took a clipping and they sent it in, and they took a picture and they made a poster of all 32 clippings that everybody did, every single one of them. And this was jet fuel. Every single one of those clippings looked different, but some were more similar than others. How they smoke is anybody's guess. I don't know. But visually, you could see, and you could almost, in some instances, even tell if one was hydroponic or if it was organic. You know, because the buds, the bud growth is different. Bud density and things like that are different. So keeping in mind of that is, you can, let's say, actually, you know what? That happened in my litter. That happened in my litter. I got an odd dog in there. And because I couldn't get enough information on the mother, could have very well come from her. I don't know. But I don't know no dogs like that on the dad's side, because I wrote that program. I ain't seen no dogs like that. You know what I mean? There were no dogs like that. So I know it had to come from her side.
Gotcha.
Your dogs are, your animals, your mammals are going to evolve to the environment that they are in. Just like your cannabis plants they're gonna grow and they're going to evolve to the environment and what you're doing with them. And so that can change the structure of a phenotype, but not, that's only through breeding. Like, you're not going to have a puppy and then it's going to like morph into something else. That's not what I'm saying. So people, I don't want anyone to think that's not what I'm saying. Is if I buy a dog from you and then I buy a dog from Kyan and then he live in North Carolina and you in Arkansas. Well, you got an Arkansas bred Central Asian Mastiff and he got South Carolina, North Carolina bred. The water is different. The air temperature is different. You feed him different. The environment is different.
You're right. You're right. You're
different.
Right. You're right. I got this. I know a guy that got the sister of my female. He's in Michigan. I'm in Arkansas. His has a bigger coat, a more thicker coat.
Thing, because this is what you got to understand about genetics. Genetics are always moving. They're always evolving. They're always reforming. Every 6 to 12 months, DNA restructures itself. So, of course, I took a dog from you and took a dog from him, and then I brought it to a whole nother state, to a new program, and did something different with it. I'm going to see your stuff, his stuff, and I'm going to see some new stuff in there. I might only see 1 or 2 oddballs, but you're going to get it because everything that I did has to equate into that development of that animal. So if you like we talked about, if you eat a lot of peanut butter, you smoke a lot of weed, you smoke a lot of crack, you do this, you do that, and you go have a child, that is going into your RNA file cabinet. Your kid will come out having cravings for crack and peanut butter and fucking weed. He'll be all fucked up. He won't know what to do. That's a hell of a sandwich right there.
Right.
So
okay.
But that's how genetics work. So knowing what I just told everybody listening to this, that should give you some insight on how to better control your genetics and control your phenotypes even more through line breeding, even more than line breeding and inbreeding. Because
walk me through the steps of the basic steps of what a breeding program should consist of, starting from scratch, if you don't mind.
Well, like I said, your once you get your books and your space and you got your breed, or let's just say we're going to do what most people do. We got kennel runs. Right. What is your day looking like? Do you work? How much time you got to go out there and spend with these dogs? How many times a day are you going to feed them? You know what I mean? Because, dog's digestive cycle is every 14 hours. So how are you going to feed them based on your day? How many dogs are you going to keep? How many dogs you're going to have are you going to start off with? Because you got to walk those dogs. Or you're supposed to walk those dogs and let them out and get exercise, but a lot of people don't. Keep in mind what I just said about genetics. You got them kennel dogs. Your dog living in the kennel. You passing that shit on. You passing that mentality on.
How you going to work them? And you can't walk them all every day.
Yeah, so is it one dog Monday? I don't know. Let's say you got 5 dogs. You got 7 days in the week. Then it's no excuse for every one of them dogs. If you can't walk them all every day, you got to get them at least out a good few miles every day. Then you got to have a point in time where they're all out together, where you're monitoring them, and you should be taking notes about everything you see, everything you're doing, how much so-and-so ate, checking their poop, all of that shit. Everything. Parasites, especially if you live out in the country. Got to check that shit for parasites. Now you building your diet. How much are you going to spend on your diet for these dogs?
Right.
How much can you spend?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, would. So yeah, how much your diet? Like I said, are you gonna feed them once, twice, 3 times a day? Because the digestive system, the more you put your digestive system to work, it actually shortens your lifespan.
Right.
So,
we feed once a day.
Right. That's what I do. I feed 5 days a week, once a day.
Yeah, with a fasting. Yeah.
So now this is a part of getting your program running, because these dogs have to go into your day. If you don't work, that's great. If this is your job and you can, then it's no excuse for you to have the rawest program on earth because you at home all day.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them dogs should come out and get walked every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them dogs should have and this is when you're learning your dogs, and every dog is got a different personality. This dog is better suited for this. This dog is better suited for this. That dog ain't worth shit. I don't even know how much longer he's gonna be here.
Yeah, he got
you know what
go.
I mean? Right.
Yeah.
So you got to be figuring all this out. And then you got to be expanding on every individual dog's personality. If that dog's a better swimmer, obviously you want to take him swimming. But here's another thing. This is a good thing that happens. This is a good for anybody who's ever worked in the kitchen who would know this, is what we call cross training. Because the dog can be trained to do things. So this dog's a good swimmer. This dog's a great catcher. Well, I want this nigga to swim, and I want this nigga to catch. He may not be as great a catcher as him. He may not be as great a swimmer as him, but he knows how to swim now. He knows how to catch now.
Yep. Which
so
makes him more
training. Right. Mm-hmm. Cross training to see the versatility of your dogs. That also provides longevity. Also, how long did the parents of your dogs live? Because how long are your dogs gonna make it? You can't say you got a program. What's his name? Kyan. I don't know if Kyan's still in here because I don't know everybody in the program. That's who you need to get on here too.
Why do I know his name?
He's Staffordshire Bull Terrier. He was on Battlebred. He did an interview with Battlebred.
I'm like, damn, I know this dude's name from somewhere. Yeah.
He's like 12 or 13 generations in his program.
Okay.
So
I know who Kyan is. Yeah, I know Kyan. I've messaged him. Yeah, we've talked. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So when you when you get to that point, I mean, you almost know what you're gonna get. But it takes time to get there. So in the meanwhile, while you're getting there, like I said, you got all these other aspects that you got to set up. What you also want to be doing is finding ways to test your dog based on the dog breed. Are you working the dog? If you want your dogs to go out and work. So if you're doing dogs for protection, then, I do see some people expanding on some of the protection training that I see out here. I think it can go further personally. And I do see some people dumbing this shit down. And, anybody who know me know, I always say something about them damn gas cans because that's just hilarious to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So if anybody in here, you use gas cans to train your dog, I'm sorry, man. Ain't nobody robbing nobody with gas cans. That shit just don't make no sense to me because it's like you're treating the animal like he's less than intelligent. You can't say how smart or how bad because the reason I say that is because nobody is ever going to rob you with a fucking gas can. So dogs are visual. Why we should never be straying away from weapons and situations that are realistic.
Right.
Because now, I know how my dog is. I know how Champa is. If I were to train him with a gas can, every time he see what he think is a gas can, he's gonna be trying to kill it. Now, what if an old lady is walking down the street with a gas can? People will say, "Oh, it is more likely to happen than you fucking think."
Yeah.
Or something that looks like a red gas can, or even in the shape. Dogs can see but so many colors. So he sees that, your dog sees that, he reacts. When he should be looking for a knife or a gun or a bat, or even you got to be careful with a bat because motherfuckers play baseball. But generally, people are robbing you with knives and guns and things like that, tasers and shit like that. So that's what we should be showing them. And I know there are some trainers. I can't remember the one guy. I was supposed to get an interview with him, and then I lost my other channel. I can't remember his name, but he was talking about how they use blanks with their dogs. He was like, he was like, because you'll fuck a dog up. They're not used to gunshots or bullets whizzing by them in an apprehension situation like that. And they might freeze up or they might tuck tail and run. Like it's Champa so where I live, like I live in a hunting town. So during rifle season, especially, but even in the summer, my neighbor who lives across the street, boy, this motherfucker, any day I could be sitting out smoking a blunt on my porch, and he'll just start letting off rounds, 200-300,
This
two,
how
three
this
hundred at a
happens.
time. You know, they just letting
Right.
off rounds. So my dogs don't even pay attention to that shit. They don't even pay attention to it anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So in some instances, that's a good thing. And then in other instances, that could be a bad thing. It just depends on the situation that the dog is in. But I think that we could put our dogs in some way more realistic situations. Like I told my cousin who got Champa's daughter, I said, man, if I was you, I said I would pay somebody, or not necessarily pay them, but get somebody that you know but has never been to your house. Like, because I was like, don't get your brother to come, because she know your brother. It could smell. I said, get a motherfucker that you work with or somebody you don't know from the neighborhood. And you and the dog just be sitting out there and they text you before they come. And you have her on the leash. And just to see. And have that motherfucker jump over the fence and just start going crazy. Or have her in the house.
Just to check it.
And you out there and have that motherfucker run up and just grab you and just start slamming the shit out of you. And see what she does. See how she fucking reacts to that shit. Because I've seen dogs just look like
nothing ain't going on. Yeah.
Like when you done whipping his ass, the safe is in here. The combination is my birthday. You know what I mean? Like, and when you take the money, take me with you. And my treats are on top of the refrigerator. Don't forget them.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I've also heard instances of people have called me and like, why won't my dog attack unless it sees a sleeve? My homegirl got a Malinois like that. Unless there's a suit.
Yeah.
And that's what I told her. I said, because the dog ain't never worked. He only been trained. He never did the job.
Yeah.
He only trained to do something. He ain't never been put in that situation.
Yeah,
and I've had other people.
He a junkie to the sleeve. You know what I'm saying?
I've had other people call and tell me the same thing. Like, I don't really feel safe with this dog. I don't really think that this dog is. I don't have confidence in this dog's ability. Send it back. Send it back.
Boy, you know what it's like getting your money back from breeders and trainers. We did one of my first early shows was with a guy named CT who talked about a lady who got graped, and she bought a dog, took out money on her house she bought a protection dog for $15,500. And the dog,
where'd she buy that out of? The Rob Report?
Boy, but it was a Malinois, and it wouldn't do shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, wouldn't do shit.
Yeah, dog would get you killed.
Dogs
like that to get you killed, man. I've seen situations like that where I've seen people with dogs where I'm like, man, that dog should have reacted. That dog should have did something, and he did nothing.
Yeah.
I'd have tied that dog to a pole and kept it moving.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta be careful of that and things. And you know, I know a lot of people talk about y'all should talk about protection training. Like, I know a lot of sports guys can't stand me because they think I'm against sports, but
yeah, I'm not even against it because people just everybody is not a loudmouth with a hot ass dog. Some people just doing it for sport.
Right.
We ain't even talking about them people.
Yeah. That's right.
We're not talking about them people.
Yeah. You know how some people just include blah 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 blah.
Yeah, we're not talking about them people. Right. We're talking about the people who are showing you all this shit and telling you how hardcore their dog is, and he's gonna do this and do that, and he's never done it. Maybe the puppy will do something, maybe it won't, but I would feel more comfortable if I at least saw the dog kill a mouse or something. Can you throw a mouse down there? Something? You can't do nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. It's like, yeah, man, I let something, bro. Like, let me see it do something.
Right. Yeah. Because it'll come back and bite you when you put that type stuff out there and the word spread. Believe me, the word spreads. I be hearing about some popular channels, popular dog men that have sold dogs around the country. And y'all know, some of you trainers that watch the channel, y'all know I ain't lying. Y'all don't got the same cause. Dogs don't do shit. I took it to several places. You can't, for real. So you got to be careful what you put out there because it'll eventually come back and bite you. You talked about that last show,
right? Yeah, you also gotta, like, especially when you looking at, look, you got breeds that have been prevalent for a while. So when you looking into dogs, like, and like for you looking into dogs for a breeding program, like, yeah, like I said, try to. That's why it's important to know the dogs where they're coming off of. What kind of people are you dealing with? Because generally the people and the dogs generally match. Like, so I look like, what do you want to deal with this breeder? Do you want this is a motherfucker that you want to call and have a relationship with? Because if not, you probably not gonna want that. That's not all the time. Don't get it wrong. I bought animals from people that I don't like plenty of times, and they turned out to be great animals.
Right.
But sometimes, when you got an ongoing program, those dogs pretty much fit that household because they've been developing develop all the developmental aspects of that dog have happened right then and there, in real time. So you're going to get dogs that are coming out, and that's why they know their dogs so well. But yeah, you got to be real careful when you're picking a dog out, especially if you are decided whether it's for breeding or just at home. Because I remember you had instances of presses killing their owners. So the point I was going to make, and I kind of got sidetracked a little bit. The point I was making is, what kind of lines are the dogs coming from? How are the dogs even being bred? Because you could have line bred dogs. They could be line bred to be shit. Like, oh yeah, they're all line bred, and then but they ain't done nothing. Like, I could name a whole bunch of kennels that got dogs like that, that are especially in the presser world. But I don't say, I'll say it's like 50-50. Presser world there's a lot of outcrosses. That dog look good. That dog look good. That dog look good. That dog. I'm just gonna keep breeding dogs that look good. Like I said, and then 4 or 5 litters later, you got a whole new phenotype. Yeah, because you never had anything set, and you just keep picking a different phenotype every fucking time.
Right. You're not gonna get that goes back to another phase of that question I asked. What does a breeding program look like for its actual breeding? What does a program look like to you if you start out from day one? When do you cross? When do you?
And if you've been taking notes and you're getting to that time where your dogs are coming into those correct heats, and you're at that point, then you should be good. You should know who, how, and why you're pairing. You should have an idea of what to expect. These are your first litters. Obviously, you don't know how many dogs you're going to get. You might only get one. You never know. But you should have a better idea of it. And then from there, now where are you going to have this litter at? You're going to have this litter outside. You're going to have this litter in your garage. You're going to have this litter in your bedroom. Where are you going to have this litter at? How are you going to do that? Now, what about the mom? What if the bitch ain't a good mom? Are you prepared? You got to have all this equipment on hand, even if you don't need it.
Boy, yeah. I don't know if a lot of people went through that. I went through that, and I had to put the puppies on another mom.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do that, and so that's the thing. If you got a job, bro, and this bitch ain't taking care of them puppies, what you gonna do? Your job won't let you off.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna make no money off them dogs. Not no profit wise. Okay, let's just say you did sell the litter. You spent $45,000, but you just got fired, nigga. Because of them dogs.
Because of them dogs, yeah.
You're in the negative. So if you made $60,000 a year, you're in the negative already because you lost your job because of the dogs.
Yep. Ooh, man. I don't know. My wife stays at home. That's how I'm able to get away with it.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you got a partner?
Right.
Whether it's a wife, a homeboy, a homegirl, or you
somebody to help you.
Somebody to help you out when you're not around. Who knows what they're doing. It's not hard, but it's also not hard to kill a puppy either.
Right.
It's not hard, because here's the other thing. Like, you can have a mom that seems okay the first couple of days. You go downstairs to make a peanut butter and jelly and crack and weed sandwich, and you come back up and she done ate 6 of the puppies, and you only had 7.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you're fucked.
Yeah.
Especially, hopefully you ain't take no deposits because you be giving them back.
Deposits. Ooh. Ooh. Well, I know y'all don't want to talk about that. What do you think about deposits? When should you take them? Should you take them? What are your personal thoughts on deposits?
I mean, I guess it's based off, what you're gonna keep, how many puppies you have, what you're gonna keep, your process of how long you're gonna keep the dogs. I would say, let's say you have a litter of 7, you plan to keep 1, so you keep 1, and you're gonna give 1 to your homie to test. You got 5 slots available. So once you figure those other 2 dogs out, I think at that point you can start opening up the slots, but screening and talking to people to find out what they want, and then watching those dogs develop into that or not into that is, to me, that's how I'm gonna know if I'm gonna take a deposit or not. I'll write your name on a list. I'll write your name. Like I'll take, like what I'll do is, let's say I got five slots. I'll take 10 people's names, but I'll let them know I only got 5 slots. And the reason I'm taking 10 names is because I don't know what these puppies are going to be, and I don't know what all 10 of y'all are looking for. I don't know what all y'all are looking for. So when I find out, they could all be looking for the same shit. They could all be looking for different shit. 2 of them could be looking for the same thing. These 3 looking for the same thing. You know what I mean? So I got to find out, because I might not have none of that shit. I might have to tell everybody no. That way I ain't took no money. I just took names.
Right. Yeah.
So now I'll start weeding people out, because here, some of them motherfuckers going to drop off anyway.
They're going to drop off.
Some of them going to drop off anyway. So now I can figure out who really wants to be here. What are you looking for? Okay, you know what? I got a puppy that's kind of like that. All right. So now I start seeing what they want. I'm starting to see it in the dogs. Now I will start to say, if you want to, you go ahead and send me your whole deposit, to secure this particular dog. But again, people, even though I don't breed dogs no more, so you ain't got to worry about this shit with me. But you do not pick your dog from me. Don't work that way. I pick the dog based on what you asked me for.
That's right. Yeah.
Because you are not going to pick the right dog if you come and I just let you look at the dogs.
Right.
You're only going to be there for a couple hours. You ain't about to see shit. Fuck out of here with that shit.
You're going to send a high drive dog down to a granny.
You're going to pick the dog. You're going to pick the most visually appealing dog, most likely, or the dog you think is going to be the toughest. And that makes me a bad breeder if I were allow that to happen. But if I do, you pick that dog. But this is just for me. This is how I do things. So you pick that dog. I let you pick the dog. You go home, and then that dog don't turn out. Who you gonna blame? You gonna blame me. You're gonna blame me. Then you're gonna start talking shit. Oh, don't buy a dog from him. He sold me this dog. That dog wouldn't attack a gas can.
You and them damn gas cans, bro.
What can I say?
Yeah. Yeah. So also watch, paying attention to the mother is important. Keeping her up, making sure she gets a break. Because sometimes you get 2-3 weeks in and them bitches don't want to fuck with them puppies no more. Yeah,
they done. They don't want to do it. Like I've had to make them go back in that. Like, but you gonna you gonna do
gotta
it. Make them go back in there.
Right. But 2, you had to watch things. I think I talked about this on another episode. Watching out for the little things, maybe like what, because you got some mamas, boy, shoot, you let them out, and then by the time she go pee, she running back in there. Yeah. If they all of a sudden, I know everybody gets tired of doing things. But I saw one time somebody say, man, this dog she don't want to feed these puppies, man. She jumping out. And it was because they wasn't trimming the nails. You know what I mean? And them suckers feel like
puppies, yeah.
Little things like that. But they do get tired and be wanting. That's my thing too, Rain. If I can get them to 3 weeks, I feel like I'm out of the danger zone.
Yeah, 3 weeks is usually that's generally with the best moms, or I would say the decent to the better moms. You generally around 3 weeks, you start to see them kind of starting to get a little like anxious. But when I start seeing stuff before that time, that's when I start keeping, and that's why I just whelp litters in my bedroom.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like then that way I can watch and see what the hell is going on at all times. Because motherfuckers be having mood swings. So
yeah. We had I had bought one of those sheds and everything and put lights and all, ran utilities out to the shed and everything. It was gonna be kind of like a weapon there, cammed it up. My wife like, oh, they too far away.
Yeah, you don't want to, especially, yeah, you don't want to be dealing with that. Yeah, you got to keep going out there, outside. No, man.
Like,
I don't even want to wake up and deal with the shit next to my bed. So I definitely don't want to go outside, like trying to have litters in the winter time too. Whew.
Yeah. That's a rough one. Well, we even got that covered though. You know what I mean? So
but yeah, some people got the, they got this shit down to a science, man, and how they do
you
it.
Gotta have systems. You gotta have systems.
Right. You gotta have a system, and that's anybody who listening to this, like, bro, I'm just talking about my system and what works for me. I like and don't like certain things just like everybody else does. Like, I talk a lot of shit. It's just me. It's just part of my personality. You do what works for you. As long as your shit is conducive to your program and you believe that you were honestly producing dogs and your integrity is where it needs to be, I don't give a fuck about what I'm talking about.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just a nigga with a room full of deadly snakes. What the fuck do I know? Well, I don't know shit, bro. I breed geckos.
Yeah. That's crazy. Oh, man.
Yeah, bro. I smoke weed all day long. Like,
right.
The fuck do I know, bro? I don't know shit.
So let me ask you this. If it's anything common, because you done bred everything, what is the most common things with breeding animals? And I know you went into some big differences on, how to get, breeding times and what triggering breeding, but does a program work the same for across all animals? As far as when you gonna start locking in traits and all this.
Actual aspect of breeding is pretty much the same. Okay. It's not much difference to it. I mean, even with plants, most people aren't doing line breeding and inbreeding with plants. Because you're going from seed, you got seeds and clones, and you clone. So you can take a clone. And then you could take a seed from, you could take 2 clones, use one of them for seeds, and then use one of them to get more seeds. Like basically, so you take one clone, breed it with something to get seeds, and then grow those seeds out, and then take those, get the sperm from that, and then put it in another plant. And so then they're related. It would still be line breeding, but most people aren't doing that with cannabis. That's more so something that you see with, like, you don't necessarily hear about lines of cannabis, more so like strands are breeds of cannabis. Like, don't get it twisted by any means. Like, all that shit comes from domestication and selective breeding. But with plants, it's a little bit differently. Like, nobody is like line breeding and outcrossing, but there's a lot of plant species that are getting bred and cloned and produced in captivity because there's a lot of money in exotic plants. Like, in general, there's big money in plants. There's more money in some plants than there is like with weed. It's just you can't smoke them. So that's why that's why niggas just don't know about them. Like monstera, shit that you see in a lot of aquariums. Like, some of those plants cost like $200-300. Just to be sitting in your house. But you can do that with cannabis. So it's not much different on how to actually set up your because everything, for the most part, unless you specifically like all my geckos, like all this shit here in these cages, like all this stuff is line bred. So these are line bred. So I did a line breeding and an outcrossing at the same time. Literally. I did a male into an unrelated female, and then I bred that same male into a female. So the female, okay, let's say this. I got female 1, female 2. Female 1 is unrelated to male. So the male, so the father of female 2 is the half brother to the male that I bred her with.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Right.
So I started with line bred animals, and I started line breeding and outcrossing literally at the same time to speed my program up. So I can take the I can take the males from female 2 and breed those males to female 1, and then that'll be another line breeding at that point in time.
Right.
to go into a whole nother line there, and then back out into another outcross female, and then back into another related female, and then back into an outcross. So it's like with this is outcross, incross, outcross, and so outcross, inbreed, outcross, inbreed, outcross. Because when I say inbreed, people also understand line breeding is a form of inbreeding. So when I say that's what I mean specifically. I just sometimes I'm talking in my head like I would be writing it down.
Right.
So go ahead.
What are your thoughts on brother to sister mating and son or daughter to parents?
I mean, it all depends. How necessary is it? Because it's an intensification of genetics. It's an intensification of traits. So good and
positive
bad.
and negative. Huh?
So you gotta, you really gotta understand why you're doing it. Because it's you're locking genes. I've seen people do brother and sister inbreedings, and they ain't do too many outcrosses. I mean, siblings share. I got the chart right here. Siblings share
50-50.
So the DNA from the parents, anybody can read that. Got the camera there. DNA from your parents is 50%, and then 50% is divided up between your grandparents, right? And then also you got here, this breaks it down even more. Hopefully it's not too. So you're just talking about parents, siblings, cousins, uncles, aunts, all 45 to 50%, 50%, 25%, 13.5%, all the way down to 0.5%, and twins are 100%. So, and then it got rubbed out. So and then by 7 generations down, less than 2% of that DNA, what you started with, remains. So one more breeding and you're done.
Right.
It's like humans. Humans are scatterbred.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all humans are scatterbred. I mean, you got some people who do some inbreeding and whatnot, but but for the most part, humans are scatterbred. And because of that, you get no consistency. And like that chart just showed, by the time you get 7-8 generations in, you're not even related to those motherfuckers you started with anymore. You probably don't even know who the fuck they are.
True.
You're so far gone.
Right. Hey, let's do this, guys. Let's get some questions in from the audience. I really wanted to try to bring somebody in, but anytime I bring somebody in on my podcast, it'd be a nut job. Yeah. So, what's up? We sell Broken Bow, man. This Oklahoma there. Yo, real stuff. Talk about these spider goats that are being bred to produce silk from their milk, which makes ballistic materials. You know anything about that?
I haven't heard about that. That's the first time I've actually heard about that. Now I do know. I have to look into it. Now I do know there is definitely some genetic splicing going on because Japan is doing. I mean, they've been doing it for a while, but Japan is openly making chimeras right now. So I'm not. I mean, they know about the tensile strength of like spider webs and silk. We've always known that shit is strong. So what he's saying, I 100% they're doing that shit. You know what I mean? On a larger scale. Because if a spider, I don't know the exact tensile strength from silk and from a spider web, but I know it's strong on its own level. So getting that from a larger animal, well, yeah, if you were able to have an animal produce that shit, would be fucking incredible. You'd be able to make the John Wick suits.
Right. So I am going to open it up for people to come in, make live questions or comments. Come in, but get out. Come in, land your plane, and get out so we can, go to the next person if somebody want to come in. We got some solid people in here tonight. Yeah. Kiku shout out now see all you guys. Any questions, comments? I'm going back up here because I've seen a lot of comments. Kiku says the funniest things that's just so true is people love talking shit about those who smoke weed, yet those that smoke never become ignorant to the truth, unlike those who with so-called stable minds. I don't smoke. I'll just
that's your problem. It's like, no.
Yeah. Okay, what do you say right here? Nah, brothers, you need to check us out as Pacific Islanders because we hold some similarities that hold our genes to be more resilient than most simply because of our bloodlines.
For sure, yeah, for sure. You definitely got people all over the world that have specific genetics or mutations, like people in the Azores, especially people on islands. It's generally where you see it is with island populations. They have these weird genes sometimes that can be like devastating genetically or like spectacular genetically. Like you see that a lot with isolated populations.
Right. We got some islanders here. Their population is the biggest in California, and the second biggest population is here in Northwest Arkansas. I forget the name of them, but they were kind of ran off their islands a little bit from some nuke testing the government did. What is the name? Hold on a minute.
I think I know. I think I just read something about that recently.
Marshallese people.
I think I just read. Yeah. I did. I just read something about that.
Yeah, recently. They here. It's a big population of them here. Yeah. Old Wood Staffords. We spoke about breeding reptiles like dogs as far as bloodlines. Are people still against it?
Yeah. It's not that they're against it. They think that they're doing it. They think that they have bloodlines and they don't. There are definitely people in the majority of the reptile community is against proper breeding programs like we just described, like what every animal has gone through, like every other animal on the planet has gone through this. But for some reason, these reptile nut jobs, these gatekeepers there think that reptiles are immune to this for some reason. They don't believe that you're going to be domesticated. Like how, bro, once you bring an animal from the wild and you put it in this box, that's a form of domestication. And you start feeding it rats from Norway, that's domestication. So they're in denial about something that's inevitable, which is crazy. They're insane, bro. That's why I didn't really understand why I started getting like so many motherfuckers like, bro, you the one need to be running this reptile shit. These motherfuckers are whack jobs, bro. Like, and they really are. I'm sure we're gonna talk about that tomorrow on the podcast I'm gonna be on. So, but yeah, they don't believe in real breeding programs. One guy, he said that he doesn't believe it exists for reptiles. And then in the same breath, he's like, oh, but we need to call it something else. Like, nigga, what? You could call it whatever the fuck you want, but it's still program breeding, bro. Like, that's what it is. It's active breeding. Right.
Now C has a question for you. How do you test a dog's intelligence?
Well, one, we always want to make sure we boost the dog intelligence with biosensor at that period of time for every litter. We always want to make sure we do that. And one thing that I do is I play a lot of different games with my dogs. From the time their eyes are open and they start walking around a little bit, I start separating them individually, putting them in different situations, leaving them alone in dark places by themselves, 10, 15 minutes to see how they'll react. You know, bringing different kinds of food around them, stuffed animals. There's so many different exercises that you can do. And then you just mentally recording how they react. Are they scared? Are they fearful? I mean, you're documenting it over time. Are they curious? You know, for me, that's the best way to do it. Like, is food gonna be the motivating factor here? Or because I've gotten dogs that I train without food, you know, and I only give them their I just use I use a little bit of dry kibble to supplement my raw. I just use that. I ain't buying no separate treats. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. You know, like that, and then I do random pairings with the dog. Like I put a lot of work, a lot of time into this shit. So all the dogs will be separated individually. They'll play, they'll be with me individually, they'll be by themselves individually. And then I'll take that one dog. Every dog will be paired with its litter mate at some point in time. So that dog will be in a situation where it's just him and another one of his litter mates. And then it'll just be them two in all those same scenarios that I just described. And see how they all react. And so he reacted different with this dog. He reacted different with this dog. He did, you know what I mean? It's engaging, trying to see if I can find any little nook, any little fucking cranny that I can squeeze out, any little break, any little crevice. Like, what the fuck was that? What was that? That was weird. I ain't never seen that shit before. Let me try that again. You know what I mean? So that's how I do it. You know, one thing, like with dogs, like it's easier to gauge their intelligence than it is with certain species of reptiles. I mean, mammals in general are way more visually intelligent. You know, not to say that reptiles, every animal is a genius in its own right. But yeah, that's how I do it. I just develop odd exercises on top of the basic stuff and see how they react to it. And that separation and the individuality to try to, if you can pinpoint personality traits, is something that I use.
Right. Here go our guy here, Catch Dog Concepts. What's up, bro? How do you test a performance dog?
Man, I go WWE on that thing now. You know, I mean, man, as soon as those dogs are up and shaking t-shirts, you know, everybody get the t-shirt and tie the knots in it. As soon as they're doing that and they're fighting with each other, I start, you know, you got ducks, chickens, and rabbits, and you know, that's how I test. I test with real shit. You know, I throw stuffed animals in there, see how they react, but then I get a good idea, and then you know, I'll throw a rabbit in there and let them fuck it up, and you know, that'll be there. Let them eat it. You know, give them a good taste of that good fresh raw meat. You know, that's how, because the only way you can test, I mean, if you're testing a catch dog, the dog that's going to go after some game, the only way you're going to be able to test it is on some game.
Right.
You know, if you got a dog that's going to be doing fly ball, you wouldn't take this. You're not about to take this motherfucker swimming all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you will. That would be good for him, but you're not just going to take him swimming. You know what I mean? So that's whatever this dog is. That's how if he's going to be an ESA or what's the other one, ESA and a service dog, then you know you got to test him and you got to put him in those situations. You know, and that's the kind of fucking protocol and programming I think we need to get to with these dogs. And you know, they put those service dogs through hell for real. It doesn't seem like it because it's real soft. But those dogs go through a process, and the majority do not make it. The majority of those dogs do not make it to be your service dog. That dog, man, those are the most on point dogs, and those are the dogs we talk about the least. Nobody don't be talking about service dogs. Them dogs really should get the most. Man, them dogs be on the bus, in the train, in DC. Nigga, that's insane. Chilling. I seen niggas get stabbed and smoke weed on the train. I seen niggas getting head on the bus in DC. Well, I didn't see
Mhm.
that. I was that man anyway, but
Yeah.
but no, it's wild on there, bro. Like you can't, like, like it's wild. So for this dog to be on a bus or a train with thousands of people coming on and off these buses, and he's just chilling. Like this dog downstairs, he couldn't do that.
Right,
He
right,
couldn't do it.
right.
We wouldn't do it. That would be
Yeah.
that would be stupid as hell for me to do it. But yeah, those service dog, that process is, man, it's a hard road to being a service dog.
Were you talking about Samoans earlier?
That was, I think, what's his name was.
Okay, I was
But
talking to
Simone, but
if you was talking to me walking down rim, I was talking about the Marshallese people. People of the Marshall Islands. Yeah. Caveman says, After us Al Gabra. Come and say Yama to you, sir. What is he saying there? I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand what that means. Let's Google it.
I boast. I hope he not. My Portuguese is terrible. My Spanish is on point, but yeah, my Portuguese is if so. I don't
Also,
even
it's a
know.
Latin word that means to face, block, or hinder.
So yeah, I'm thinking, because see, I'm thinking I like abogabra. That looks Portuguese almost.
Yeah, we'll
Because
see.
caballero. Well, no, that's more like curly hair, caballero. But yeah, I don't speak any Latin. Only I speak a little bit of
Right.
Portuguese, a lot of Spanish, and some patois.
You could explain that one. Tell us what that means, brother. Kiku, intelligence is a desirable quality when it's seen. Yes, sir. Most definitely. You know. How do you feel about muzzle and using them when testing a dog?
Ah, depends on the situation, and the animal that you may be using. Because a muzzle, I mean, I think when the dogs are younger, muzzles can be okay. I think for older dogs, it can be a very frustrating situation. And dogs remember things. I personally, I've never used a muzzle in my life. I don't even know if I know. I'm pretty sure it's not rocket science to put one on, but I was like, I wouldn't even know how to put a muzzle on. I've never used a muzzle, never
Mhm.
bought one, never owned one. But generally, when I think of a muzzle, I just think of anytime I ever heard of a muzzle, I mean, that dog's out of control. He's got to be muzzled.
Right.
You need to
Yeah,
put a
yeah,
muzzle
yeah.
on that dog. That
Yeah,
motherfucker's
he's a
gonna bite
biter.
somebody, bro. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so yeah, I've never, but I have seen people train game dogs for like pigs with muzzles on. A
Right,
couple people I've seen that, not many, but I've seen a couple videos like that. Honestly, I think that kind of defeats the purpose personally.
right.
Um,
I've seen it. I've seen it used to check uh dogs that may have been working on equipment, and they will put their muzzle on him, see if he still try to bite that man without, you know, and that's the way they'll protect the man.
yeah,
Just
some
make
dogs,
sure
yeah,
that,
some dogs will. They don't care about
right,
that
right.
muzzle. Like that
Yeah,
blockhead I got downstairs, I know. Like he wouldn't give a shit. He's still
right,
gonna try to bite you.
right, right. So yeah, man. Um, I don't see any more questions. Rain is Rain Rain can go, man. Rain can do this all day, and he always has something interesting to say. If y'all got any more, hey, look what he said, bro. he
Who's
said
that?
he said, I don't know where that came from. Got me on here googling. Look at Joe come here.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm like, man, I need to brush up on my
yeah, this
Portuguese.
is deep. Hold on a second. I'm looking it up right now.
Like, yeah, no, they already saying I'm a bad Brazilian. I'm like, now I'm looking, I'm like, because it looked like, because Portuguese is a funny language.
Yeah, caveman
It's a,
got me, didn't it?
it's a funny
Kiku
language.
says an incredibly intense dog is aged from DDK9. DDK9. Okay.
That name sounds, the DDK9 name
I
sounds
know
familiar.
DK9. Yeah.
But I'm not familiar with. I'll be honest, like I don't. Man, there's so many kennels out now. remember when there only used to be like 100 kennels. Now there's like 100,000 kennels.
Right, right.
Yeah, you have to go to my Instagram, which is the Unscripted Podcast, and then there's a link in there to my website, and then you can go to media, and then all my stuff is in media. But yeah, that let's hear what he said. He said it's Dark Dynasty.
Dark Dynasty.
Yeah, because see, okay.
Okay, it's Hoax on the Ring. Okay.
What is it? Ace? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's why I don't know who that dog is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get your Instagram up. I'm gonna post it. Yeah.
He said homeless people's dog got the best environments. Man, homeless people be having some tight ass dogs, man. I don't know where they be getting them from, but I'm like, how do you even have this dog?
Yeah, hobo train.
Like, this nigga got a spike collar on and everything. Like, where you get that from?
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to put your link in the chat. Hold on a second. I'm gonna get over here in the YouTube. Any more final questions for Rain, y'all?
I gotta get Kyan on the phone, man. I don't be around my laptop when he be ringing me. But
man, hey, Kyan, yeah, we could do something too, bro. We could do something if you want to. Let me see here. So this is Rain's link. Y'all can tap on it in the chat.
Kyan did a whole round table with me for 13 episodes. What, like, how many months was that? We did a show every night for what, about 3 or 4 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hours probably.
Yeah, is that the one that the channel got took down?
Yeah, I lost all of them because they were lives. I wasn't able to save them. Yeah, that was like, I don't know how many, man. That was probably 13 episodes, probably on an average of like 3 hours. Yeah, that was a lot of hours. It's a lot of hours we had there. A lot of people. I had a lot of people coming in and out of that channel. A lot of guys started channels from that.
Right. So I just showed your Instagram page and posted a link. Facts, their dogs be down there and keep. Rain, appreciate the knowledge, bro. All right, man. Hey, let's call it a wrap, bro. We'll do it again.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, I'm always game.
Yeah, but y'all go over there to his Instagram, follow him, and keep up with him because he is a wealth of knowledge. And I've told him before the show, you can't find nobody.
Kanye said they be
Rain be pissing people off. They take his channel down. Yeah, well, the way this set up, somebody get pissed off every episode about something. But we all here to learn too. So, but y'all, it ain't many times you meet a man that breed as many different things that he has done. So, man, hey, shoot, I'm looking forward to keep talking with him. And he said I just sent a request from Game Dog Talk. Oh, there you go.
Okay, yeah. I'll add him. My phone is dead, but I got my Instagram up on my laptop here. So.
Okay. All right.
But man, I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me coming on. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. As always, man. We'll sure y'all see me here again sooner than later.
That's what's up, bro. All right, man. Well, you have a good night, chat, audience, Instagram, all y'all that's gonna watch. Hey, let me say this: like, share, and subscribe. We're a small channel. We need it, but we're a high value channel, I believe. So do that. Like, share, subscribe. All right. Later.
Peace out.